Welcome back this week to SECond2Nun. I'm your host, Mike, and we're about to get this started. SEC football, another week is in the book, but some fans are not so happy this weekend. Some fans had some huge letdowns. Some fans had some happy moments, but for the most part, you still have that question mark over the SEC. Is the SEC having a dominant year? Let's get into my guest right now, and let's just have a great show. Guys, what's going on? You guys are just popping in, and you guys are making me smile. Thank you once again for joining in. Chris, Vandy, what's going on?
I'm recovering. That one hurt. That's all I can say. That one hurt.
Well, next week, it won't get no easier because you know what's coming to town. Those Wildcats. Wildcats is coming to Nashville to take care of business.
You're favored by a team that's playing at home and beat you in your own house last week. That tells you all you need to know.
Yeah, you should get muted for that. Yeah. You should get muted. Underdog Indy, how you doing today? Missouri. I know you smiling.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you're talking about happy moments, and I had a happy moment.
Yes, you did.
It was a great, great day for us, and maybe we'll get a little bit of respect this week. Yeah, maybe.
You know, it's Missouri, so we'll see what's going on. Hey, welcome to the show. Hey, Matt, Short Dog, how you doing? Okay, Short Dog. Okay, all right, I got you. What's going on today, my Kentucky brother?
I'm doing good. Ready for Kentucky to just keep on steaming. They've got a lot of improvements to make before they play Vanderbilt. Ray Davis, glad we've got him on the team.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot to work on, before we get to Vanderbilt next weekend.
Absolutely. The worst in the West, Eagles balls. What's up?
Hey, I'm glad Auburn's winning. Right now they put this on there. We're the best in the West. We're tied with Ole Miss at number one. Nobody's seen this coming. We're fixing to win the next two. Not really worried about Auburn. We'll get better as the weeks go. At least
All
I'm
right.
not sitting in Vanderbilt. At least I'm not sitting in Vanderbilt's shoes. So hey, that's a better opportunity.
I heard that. Good to have you with us again this week, man, for real. And finally, we have the guy. We call him the educator. What's up, Mike? 500. He great to 200. Facts are facts, unless you're Harvard. Yeah, we can always count on you, man, to always come with a little piece of advice for us. How you do it?
Man, hey, I'm doing great. Playing around with my kids. They had a Nerf war. Got the horses grazing in the backyard. But man, I'm good. It's really good.
Well, we're definitely going to hear from all you guys throughout the show. All you guys had ups and downs throughout the weekends, and we hope to be able to capture all of that this week on Second to None. Thank you guys. I always appreciate you guys joining us. Man, it's just SEC football is back in play, and this is what we do. So before we go any further, let's move into our headlines for the week. Chris, you can take that.
Okay. All right, we have some headlines today. What do y'all think about parity ruling the day in college football? It used to be you had the top teams and everybody else. Now it's top teams can be beat by anybody. And our graphic has disappeared. I don't know where it went.
Hey, guess what, guys? You cannot blame me today. It's not my fault. So everyone who's behind, there it is right there. So go for it.
Alabama. This isn't your same Alabama that you're accustomed to seeing for the past 6 or 7 years where they're scoring 45 and 50 points a game. They have a terrible quarterback situation going on. I actually believe that Ty Simpson made a case yesterday to be the starter. Now, a lot of people disagree with that. On the other side of the fence, Georgia out here taking care of business. That defense that the Bulldogs got has not lost a step from losing all that talent to the NFL. They still out here taking care of business, winning ball games, even when their offense ain't playing well. The big story in college football right now, Colorado Buffaloes. My goodness, Coach Prime is 3-0. Nobody in college football saw this coming. About to get real for them. They take a big step up next week when they play Oregon, and then it gets even more real. They've got like 3 straight top 10 teams coming in on their schedule for the next 3 weeks. They're in trouble. Florida State, you can call it what it is. They escaped Boston College. But let's be real about this. Boston College jumps out to a 10-3 lead. Then Florida State outscored them 28-0 in the middle of the game. Kind of put it on cruise control. Jordan Harris got a little bit banged up. They end up pulling out a win late. It was, I think the final score was 31-29. But there's some sideshow to that. Did you know there was a hurricane coming up the East Coast and the winds in the stadium at Boston College were over 40 miles an hour? Not the exact kind of conditions you want to play in. And what about them Florida Gators? Your quarterback gets his thumb ripped off, part of his thumb ripped off. They tape it up. He stays in the game. He throws 4 total passes in the second half, and they still come away with a 13-point win. Every phase of the game dominated by Florida last night. I said I thought the Florida defense could cause them problems. I didn't expect them to go out and win the game. And the big topic around the country is the SEC in trouble. They're not the grand old daddy that they've been for the last 10 years. That's for certain. And when teams like Vanderbilt are going out to UNLV and losing on knuckleball field goals, you got problems in the SEC. It is what it is. Now I'll shoot it back to you, Michael.
Well,
Oh, time out. I do have breaking news.
okay.
Apparently, Tennessee's offensive tackle, Gerald Minchie, on Thursday night was cited for simple marijuana possession by the University of Tennessee Police Department just off the campus of UT. He did travel to Florida, but he did not play in the game on last night. So there's bigger problems going on at Tennessee.
He's just on that football field, huh?
Yes.
We will get into that game a little bit more in depth as we go through our weekly games. But Chris, thanks for going over the headlines for us. You know what? Before we go to break, Kenny, you got a question for Chris. What is it?
Yeah, so Chris started this year, and me and Chris did a pick'em contest, and he stated that he would pick games all the way down to NI whatever. So my question to Chris is, because clearly I guess he just missed it in the chat this week. I don't know.
You
He's
leave
a
my
busy
John Deere
man.
tractors alone. You don't know nothing about that, you out west crazy man.
So my question to Chris is, there's people that does the pick'ems with us, wants to know how Chris goes and finds these crazy name schools that you have to do like 10 pages of research just to find them.
You literally don't have to. It's simple.
Chris,
I mean,
for you,
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
because he's Vanderbilt and he's educated and he knows what's going on in the world.
So, Kenny,
Very well educated.
one of the teams that I've had on there every week so far is Morningside College. I told
Okay.
everybody, do your homework when you make these picks. Morningside College is probably the most dominant football program in America today. You can say what you want about NAIA, FBS, whatever. They have been to the NAIA playoffs
shit.
for 18 consecutive years. Of those 18 years, they've been in the Elite Eight, because they start out with 16 teams. They've been in the Elite Eight every single year except for 2 in that span. That's a pretty dominant football program. And if you do your homework, you'll catch stuff like that.
Wow.
But since you bring up the pick'ems, I just wanted to throw this out here. The way we do it, I pick 20 games each week. I have the entire SEC schedule on there. Then I'll pick some random top 25 games, and then some FCS games. If I don't have my 20, then I'll drop down and get some Division II and NAIA schools. So far, we've had a total of 70 games that we have picked throughout the season. Right now, we have a guy that's sitting there at 61-9. It's incredible what he's doing in his pick'ems. Mr. Jim Chappell, crazy what he's doing. And our very own underdog, Mr. Matt Indy. What do you do? You've been on a roll the last 2 weeks. What are you doing, sir?
You know, I just do my research, like you said, and a lot of luck.
A lot of luck.
Well, I would like, since we're talking about pick'ems, I don't want all our fans out there to forget that the top 5 people get a prize. The first place, as it stands now, it would be Mr. Jim if it was the end of the day, but it's not. The first place person gets a coin and a T-shirt. 2 through 5 get a T-shirt. That is what we agreed on before the season, and just passing that out there to the fans. So keep them coming every week. We're ready for them.
All right.
We've had over 100 people make picks in this thing already this year.
great.
So it's pretty fun.
For the first
Thanks.
year of Second to None doing something like this, Chris, you guys are definitely making the most of this, and it's pretty interesting to seeing how these guys actually it's actually drawing a lot of attention to as well. So we definitely appreciate that as well for what you guys are doing for that pick'em. And this is our first
it's a
year.
labor of love.
That's it.
I
Right there.
love it.
Yeah.
And you know what gets me the best about the pick'ems? These jokers ain't they for real. Like they up first thing Sunday morning wanting to know where the updated things at. It's
People want
real.
them updates, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, they want them first thing Sunday morning. It ain't even a joke.
Like, where's that picket at, huh?
Yep.
I mean, I thought Chris, when me and Chris first started talking about it, he was like, Kenny, watch this. They gonna be up first thing Sunday morning wanting to know. He wasn't lying. Y'all, they blowing the comments up like it's a nuclear bomb.
Like,
I love it though. I love it. It's the feedback we get. I love it.
Yep.
I love it. So thank you guys for that. Before we get into the game scores and everything, we're gonna jump to an ad, and when we get back, we're gonna get into the to some scores, and we're gonna let you guys talk about your ball games. So stay tuned.
What's the difference between these two identical cups of coffee? Everything. Everything. Boring, basic coffee is leaving you dead inside. Thank the Dark Lord, there's Bones Coffee. Small batch, full-bodied coffee infused with the most mind-melting flavors in the world. Or underworld.
Oh, I've had flavored coffee.
Oh, I've had flavored coffee before. You haven't had Welcome to the highly caffeinated, slightly wicked, and immortally delicious world of Bones. Our mad coffee scientists have twisted nature to their demented wills.
It's alive!
With frightfully delicious flavors like from dusk till donuts.
It's a taste I can really sink my teeth into.
Mint invaders.
I don't mean to probe, but how did you make this coffee taste like ice cream?
And electric unicorn.
Like eating fruity cereal. Yeah!
At Bones Coffee, we'll try just about every flavor combo out there.
Cannolis, salted pretzels, strawberry cheesecake.
The ones we love are made into small batches, roasted to order, and delivered directly to you. But the others... Rest in peace, Beanfish. We've got over 30 killer concoctions. So French press that link to find your new flavored coffee. There's more to life than pumpkin spice. But yeah, we smashed that pumpkin too. We also have comforting classic coffee if the flavored stuff is too scary. At Bones, our beans are complex and multidimensional.
I have opinions.
Which makes for rich, smooth, jaw-droppingly good Joe. Stop drinking hot bean water and resurrect your caffeine routine. You can Bones at home, Bones at work, or Bones during your commute. Go to bonescoffee.com and check out our thousands of spooktacular 5-star reviews. If committing to one flavor gives you the heebie-jeebies, try our sample packs, a shocking selection of our most hauntingly delicious blends. Or join the coffee club and get new flavors delivered as often as you'd like. It's time to break from boring. Click the link to get yourself a bag of Bones today.
So there you have it. Bones Coffee. Make sure you use the promo code DogsBones at checkout for 10% off off the cost of your coffee today. Go get that Bones Coffee. There you go. So these are the scores from around the SEC, as you can see. LSU, Vandy lost, and so did Arkansas.
Where'd that score come from?
Yeah, I don't. Which one? Oh,
That's
did Vandy really lose 30?
That was not our score.
Kentucky Kentucky won 35-3, didn't they? They put the same score in there. Yeah.
And they ain't even got the Tennessee Florida score in there.
That's okay because not Auburn, but Arkansas and BYU shouldn't have been in there. So that's my fault for that. Because we're actually going to discuss those games. So the first game we're going to get to, we're going to go ahead and start with the national champions winning it out. Chris, what you got for that ball game between Georgia and South Carolina?
Well, early on in the game, it looked like South Carolina was going to give them trouble. But Georgia answered the bell. You make South Carolina a one-dimensional football team, and you're going to beat them. And right now, they're a one-dimensional football team. They got the best quarterback in the SEC, and Spencer Rattler. He probably should have transferred somewhere because they're not going to win very many games. But Georgia, their defense has been incredible all year. They allowed 48 yards rushing for the game yesterday. You're going to win a lot of games when you have a run defense that can stop people like that. Carson Beck, people have criticized him all year of not being very good, but he answered the bell yesterday. He threw for 269 yards. And, offensively, I think Georgia played just fine. They are the team to beat in the SEC still, and I don't see any reason not to run the table at this point.
I think I have to agree with that too. I mean, while South Carolina did come out and jump up on them pretty fast, Georgia being a national champion team that they are, they made the necessary adjustments at halftime that allowed them to come out and basically just say, hey, okay, we're back now. We're in the ball game. Let's take care of business and let's get out of here. So hats off to Georgia for that. Anybody else got anything they want to say about this ball game?
Georgia is beatable. They can be beat. I have no doubt.
I mean, I think anybody can be beat. I think what Georgia brings to the table each week is if you really want to beat us, then come and get us,
Yeah.
That's
and you don't want to play from behind. Against Georgia.
We're about to do that. Excuse me.
Yeah. What you got, Kenny?
I think that, like he said, Georgia's beatable. I think that, I've said it a long time. I think Georgia's first big test of the season is going to be in Auburn. It's their first road game. It's an SEC game. It's a night game. It's an 8:15 game. It's going to be hostile. I mean, I've got Auburn winning that game, but it's going to be a close game. They're not fixing to come to Jordan-Hare and blow us out like everybody's thinking. So I'm telling y'all, you'll see what Georgia's made of when they step in Jordan-Hare Stadium. I've said that for months. So, and I'm still going to stick by that because it'll be Beck's first real true road game. So I really think that, we'll see what Georgia's made of. If they struggle in Auburn, then everybody knows. But if they come in there and they dominate Auburn, I'll get back on this show and say I was wrong, but I just don't believe I'm wrong.
Got you.
I'm just going to say, if you think you're going to beat Georgia, you better come with something better than Peyton Thorne, because the best quarterback in the SEC didn't beat him.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I'm still sticking by my word. Like I just said to you, Chris, if I'm wrong, I'll step back on this podcast November 1st, and I'll admit I'm wrong. But if I'm not, I expect the same out of some folks. They called me crazy months ago.
Georgia definitely took your. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
How many consecutive games has Georgia now won?
29.
20. Was it 29 or 20?
It's 29, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
It can't be 29.
I thought it was 20.
They lost in the SEC championship, and
it's 19. It's 19.
Well, it's be difficult for them not to lose just because the odds are against them. You look at how many undefeated teams have there been in the NFL? One, it was Miami. They were 12-0.
Yeah.
They played a shortened season. What Georgia has done in the modern era is incredible. They win 20 in a row. So they're probably going to stumble just because the odds are against them, but they're still an awfully good football team.
I never said they weren't a good football team. I just feel like that's their first loss is in Jordan-Hare Stadium.
Well, yeah, and I'm just saying. I think they're probably going to lose this year just because the odds are against them. Now, who's that be to? I don't know, but I think they're the odds are just against them to run the table again.
That's it. In 3 weeks, when they come to Nashville, Vanderbilt's beating them, and it's going to take away all the pain of the UNLV loss last night. That's it.
Somebody please delete. Hey,
Hold on. I'll go on air right now and say this. If Vanderbilt beats Georgia, I will personally come to Nashville and shake your hand.
Get that done then. Anybody else got any last minute words for that ball game? All right. Next we're gonna get to the Tennessee and Florida game. I think that was one game that I don't think anybody was really surprised that Georgia. I mean, I don't think nobody was surprised that Georgia beat South Carolina. That's not a shocker. But what went down in Tallahassee? I mean, in Gainesville. Well, that had a lot of people surprised. Kenny, what you got?
Well, let me start this off because I told somebody in this group I would do this. Chris, as a man of my word, I was wrong. And I will admit that to you that I was wrong because I called you crazy when you said Florida's defense gives Tennessee fits. So, now, on to the game. Florida come in knowing what they wanted to do. They wanted to come in and shut Tennessee down, and that's what they did. They come in with a game plan. They stuck to it. They ran it, and they beat them. Tennessee, it's been like, 20-something years since Tennessee beat them in the swamp? I thought Tennessee had the best chance to beat them this year in the swamp. Well, clearly I was wrong. So, I don't know. Is Tennessee as really good as people say they are?
No.
I don't know.
I'm just saying. And is Florida as bad as people say they are?
No.
It's a lot of question marks up there. I do have a question for you guys, though. Do you think the coaching staff is this on Milton that he did not just have a good game? Or was
it's not on Milton.
The Tennessee ball team as a whole just didn't play good last night?
Milton did not play good last night.
It's a team effort.
Milton did not play bad.
I think.
Look at his stats. He did not play good. Milton did not play good at all.
The whole team didn't play good, man. I mean, let's be honest about it.
There's a difference between not playing good and playing bad. There's a fine line there. He did not play bad. You're right. He didn't play good, but he did not play bad. It was an average performance by an average quarterback.
Correct.
He went 20 for 34 for 287 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception.
You don't throw for 287 yards if you're playing bad. That's just not how that works.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree. I agree with Chris on that.
So I think all the credit really has to go over to what Florida did versus what Tennessee didn't do.
Right.
Correct. Florida come in with a game plan and they executed it better than Tennessee did with theirs.
Did
right there, right? That part in that clip right there is a perfect example. Haddon chest bumping the guy running down the field with him instead of tackling him. That's what cost Tennessee the game, is stupid stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well,
Tennessee thought they could just show up and win.
Yes, I think that's
You're
right.
right.
Yep,
Mike, that's 100% correct.
I think so. I think the hype around Tennessee this year, the lack of hype around Florida, and I think Tennessee coming in with the hype, and and Chris, you brought it up when we talked yesterday morning. You talked about how Milton said, "I never lost in Florida." I think he's the one that said that. So you with social media today, that's locker room material right there. It is. So and I mentioned it yesterday in the pregame. A lot of these guys probably don't understand how serious this rivalry really is. But I'm pretty sure it's some legends that played at Florida that came in this week to actually talk to these guys and just to say, hey, this is how big this Florida Tennessee match is. And do you want to be the team who says Tennessee hasn't beat us in the swamp in 20 years are you guys going to be the ones that lets them break that streak? So they take it personal because as those guys was playing with house money, nobody gave them a chance to play anyway. What's your thoughts, Matt? Indy?
Well, I mean, I didn't get to watch the game personally, but I was listening to it. And that running game was just on fire for Florida.
Florida was good. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I also heard that there were a lot of injuries. You know, that Tennessee had a second string center and he got banged up pretty bad. It just was not a good roster for Tennessee either. I mean, it just wasn't a good look.
To be fair, Tennessee's played all year without their number one center. I said it yesterday on College Football Dogs pregame show. Cooper Mays is the best center in the SEC. He hasn't played a single game. He hasn't played a single game this year. He's out with a triple hernia, and he was a game time decision yesterday. He warmed up and he couldn't go, but they played all year without him. So I don't want to hear injury excuse out of Tennessee.
Correct.
Now, what I do see, there were a bunch of images last night during this game of a coach standing on the sideline, and it brought back memories of another coach. Seeing Josh Heupel standing on the sideline in that orange shirt looked like the great pumpkin Phil Fulmer himself. I mean, I swear to God, I thought it was Phil Fulmer wearing that orange stinking shirt. And let me tell you, he did something last night that I think every fan at Tennessee should say, hey, that's not acceptable here.
Get out of here.
7 seconds left in the game.
Bastard.
The game's over. You're down by 2 scores. You're not going to win. Why are you calling a timeout?
Yep.
It's purely a punk move, in my opinion.
Well, since you're talking about the end of the ball game, how do we look over the fight?
Okay, so well, let me ask you, Hunter, can you put that picture up that I asked to be put in?
Tennessee just
I don't know if he's got it.
Yeah, it's a it's one of those things, man.
So-
Tennessee was hoping. Go ahead, Kenny.
So we're talking about the fight. I had a picture that I got off that got sent to me this morning. I wanted it put in. I want to know why Florida is up so big. The offensive lineman is standing there ready to box Tennessee's quarterback.
It's not Tennessee's quarterback.
Well, whatever. What was he?
He is their DB head.
Whatever he was standing there literally fisting to box this kid. They were both fisting to fight. Why? You're up 2 scores, you won the game. That's stupid.
I think it's more of a principle.
Kenny,
Go ahead, Mike.
Let me answer this from a junior high principal standpoint. 2 guys, they don't want to fight. They just want to get there, put their hands up, and call each other names, hoping somebody will get there and break it up.
Okay.
It's about losing face. Now, girls will get right at it. They don't care. But guys will sit there and call each other name and try to, but they're not getting punked out. They just want somebody to get there before something happens.
And actually, to your point, Mike, Kamal Haddon has been on Instagram this morning, and it literally said, he literally posted, man, I wasn't trying to fight nothing. I was stopping my teammate and trying to de-escalate the situation, and I seen people running at me, so I bagged up and tried to remove myself. Intention was never to fight, but I have to protect myself.
Yeah, and I understand that, and Heupel calling the timeout, yeah, that was boneheaded, but going back to that play, take a knee. If you're going to roll out, you're asking to get hit. I'm sorry.
You sure are.
Get hit.
Yeah.
And that's on Florida. That's Florida's fault right there.
I mean,
that was just that. I hate saying this, but that's just thugs being thugs right there.
Yeah, I agree.
It kind of is what it is. Yep. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Thank you guys for that review of the Tennessee. I definitely look forward to seeing where Tennessee goes from here. I think they got some answers that they have to address, some issues that they need to address. I still think Tennessee's going to be okay. Still, Tennessee has a good ball club, a good running backs, and everything. So I definitely look forward to seeing where they at. And I also look forward to seeing, was this a big hype game for Florida, and they just got really up for this one game? And what kind of year would they have moving forward? Would they build on this, and would they give the rest of the East, outside of maybe Georgia, a lot of headaches? Or would they just fold and just say we had one good game, and that's pretty much all we're going to do all year? So appreciate that. Next game up, we're going to look at the LSU and Mississippi State. Matt Short Dog, what you got?
What a day Jaden Daniels had. 30 out of 34 for 361 yards, 2 touchdowns, 15 carries for 64 yards and 2 touchdowns. That was a big reason why LSU was able to win the game. I mean, Will Rogers didn't have a real good game. He didn't have one of his what you call typical type games. He was 10 out of 28 for 103 yards. And, Mississippi State just did not show up.
So part of the problem with Will Rogers right now is Mississippi State has gone away from the air raid offense, and they're doing a more spread style attack. Will Rogers is an air raid quarterback. He's not built for the spread. He's not built for their RPO stuff. That's not his game. They alluded to it during the broadcast yesterday that just calling the plays takes about 5 seconds because the wording is so much different and so much longer than it is under the air raid. He's not a fit for what they're trying to do offensively. I wouldn't be surprised to see Mike Wright end up being a starter before the season's over, just because Will Rogers doesn't fit what they're doing. And it's sad that because he's such a good quarterback.
That's sad. That's sad.
Why do you say that?
Will Rogers, just that whole God love Mike Leach, man.
Yep.
And he had a great system. He had a great quarterback. Will Rogers was phenomenal, was really solid as a freshman. In his career like this in the SEC, when he was one of the top 2-3 quarterbacks in his career, it's just, life's just not fair sometimes.
Yep.
I agree.
You kind of wish he would have transferred somewhere.
Yeah, I do too.
To a Texas Tech.
But but kudos to him for having loyalty to Mississippi State.
Yes.
Kudos.
Yeah, and you don't see that very often these days anymore. People want to go for the money, for everything else in the world, but he's been committed to those guys, and that's where he wants to finish his career. So you don't see. Prior to this game, Will Rogers has had some pretty big numbers.
Yeah.
In his first few games. So while I understand what you're saying, Chris, do you attest some of that to the defense of LSU, or did the offense system just finally catch up with Will Rogers and says, okay, because
LSU's the better team. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But it got out of hand quick because Mississippi State doesn't have the players to run the system that they're trying to run.
Okay.
And it made it look so much worse than it was. And with Harold Perkins, the way he played in the first half yesterday, that's just wow, is all you can say. And Malik Neighbors, they didn't have anybody. They didn't have anybody on defense that could cover him. 13 catches, 269 yards. He dogged out yesterday.
He had a good game. Yep. He averaged 18.4 yards a carry. That's on 239 yards, as you just said, Chris. So that was a lot. That was a real solid. Yeah, that was a real solid game right there. Yep, it really was. So it looked like.
Let's talk about his hurt shoulder too, y'all.
Who's hurt shoulder?
Neighbors has a hurt shoulder.
Okay.
He got dinged up.
He got dinged up and come back.
And he came back in the game and went off. He's not hurt.
I guess when you get hurt, I guess you get angry.
He's not hurt. He got dinged up on the play, shook it off, and went out and balled out. He's not hurt.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Let me rephrase that. When you get dinged up, then I guess you get angry. How about that?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
That's a nice catch right there.
Hey, at my age, when I get dinged up, I don't get anything but in pain.
Just lay down.
Hey, too bad. Too bad that that's not the case. What's up?
There is a little bit of debate on one of the plays in this game, and I have to say, I agree with the way it was called. It was a target.
Yes.
You don't lead with the crown of your head.
Yeah.
Make full impact and launch yourself. That's the very definition of a target. It was called the correct way, and for people trying to weapon a target, you need to refresh the rule book.
I agree.
Got to keep people safe, man. That's for sure. So, as I was saying, I think is everyone in agreement that LSU is the team in the West to beat?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are we gonna?
I'm not sure.
Are we ready? Are we ready to put them in Atlanta in December in the West?
No.
No. You know what? I
to do that.
completely forgot about Auburn. I completely forgot about Auburn.
It ain't even Auburn. I'm gonna be honest with you. You want to talk about the team that beat the West right now? It's Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
They look solid again last night.
And I'm an Auburn fan.
LSU's defense will shut them down.
Okay, Mike, answer me this then, buddy.
All right.
They have a two-headed monster. I mean, and I'm an Auburn fan, and I'm fixing to say this. They have a two-headed monster, and I said before the season, Auburn probably takes a loss to them. Here's the problem. If you commit to stopping Judkins, they're going to beat you down the field. If you commit to stop the pass, Judkins going to run down your throat. You can't play them man-to-man. So you give me the scenario on why you say that this can happen. Because right now, the way the SEC looks, there is not a defense in the SEC that is capable enough to play man-to-man and stop both. That's just my opinion. I mean, I don't think there's a defense out there.
And that's fair, but I think LSU has the defense.
They have the talent and the speed, yes.
Yeah.
So what you're telling me, ain't it the third weekend in October we see these two play?
LSU has the defensive front and the linebackers to shut or to contain the running game. They have the defensive backs to contain the passing game. And they have the offense to dominate the game, to control the ball. LSU will beat Ole Miss.
I'm going to agree to disagree with you, Mike. Sorry.
That's fine.
And I'm going to look at another team. I mentioned it earlier. Alabama is not going to be scoring 45 and 50 points a game this year. That's just not who they are under Tommy Rees's offensive coordinator position. You let Ty Simpson run that offense. He's not going to put the team in a bad place. And you let him run that ball control, milk the clock, run it up and down the field style of offense and shorten games up. They have a legitimate chance to right the ship and actually become a threat to win the West. And the reason I say that, you can't say that Alabama's not talented. They are. And if they run that ball control offense and take time off the clock and limit your possessions, there's not a whole lot you can do about that.
You know, and here's about Chris. I saw the headline I didn't read the article, but something a lawsuit against Lane Kiffin that's coming up.
Yes, there's a lawsuit that was filed against Lane Kiffin. A player, what's weird is he's on the online roster, but he's not on the game day roster. And apparently at Ole Miss, they let a scholarship athlete take time off for mental health reasons and return to the team with no questions asked later whenever they get whatever they got going on taken care of. Apparently, this guy went to his position coach, told him he was having mental health problems, requested time away, and then when he came back, apparently some stuff was said and done, and he was removed from the game day roster, and he has filed a lawsuit against Lane Kiffin specifically and Ole Miss. And it's going to be interesting to see where that goes because it's just not something to play with there.
Right, and how much of a distraction is that going to be? Maybe not. Maybe not.
True.
But when you have a lawsuit that's filed against you, it's going to be in the back of your mind.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You sure will. So, outside of Alabama, I guess, Ole Miss, LSU, the West. You got three people. You got three teams in the West. Auburn, maybe the outside looking in, if they're going to be as good as Kenny think they are. That could be the fourth team that can come out of the West. So the West is going to be interesting, knowing that Alabama is not the clear favorite to win the West this year, hands down. So everybody's fighting as hard as they can, with Alabama being down. So this could be our year to get back. To get there. Even though LSU went last year, everyone's fighting to get back to Atlanta to face the East. So appreciate that also as well. The next game we got on is pretty interesting. No one's seen this coming. Let's be real. Number 14 team in the nation, facing a Missouri team. It's just Missouri, whatever. Let's just go win the ball game. But Missouri said, hey, Missouri stood up. Matt, it's your game. Let's do it.
I ain't got nothing to say. Listen.
All right, so I'm going to be honest with you. After the first 2 weeks of the season, I didn't really have high hopes. I had been watching Kansas State before, and Kansas State is a very talented club. They're a very good football team. Will Howard, he went 25 for 39, 270 yards, 3 touchdowns, but he had 1 pick. On the opposite end, our Tigers, Brady Cook, went 23 for 35, 365 yards, 2 interceptions, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. One thing that did stand out to me was at the very beginning of the game when they were calling out the starters and stuff, the fans were not happy that Cook was starting, so they booed.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think there was some type of fuel. I know Coach Drinkwitz was not happy about it, but Cook went out there and he played tough. He hurt his ankle a little bit right before halftime. Sam Horn went out, took a couple snaps, just handed the ball off to Schrader. But Cook still got it done. Our boy Luther Burden caught 7 catches for 114 yards, 2 touchdowns. His longest was 45 yards, and that was his. But anyways, Howard actually was a really big player. He got banged up himself. So both quarterbacks were just kind of hobbling around trying to figure it out. And they had their backup, Avery Johnson, going for a couple snaps, and he did the Wildcat offense. And he had some pretty good runs. He had 4 of them for 24. And I was sweating when I'd see him out there because that dude is quick. All in all, Mizzou came out. Mevis came out and kicked an SEC record 61-yard field goal for the win, 30-27, the Mizzou Tigers.
That's a big win for you guys, man. That's a big win for Missouri. It's a big win for the SEC. the SEC is not doing very well against ranked teams this year. So
I do have a question about it though.
Okay.
So I need to ask Matt. Are you concerned going forward that your coaching staff chose to play a dinged up Brady Cook over a healthy Sam Horn? Does that concern you at all going forward?
A little bit. I am a Sam Horn fan. I think he's an awesome quarterback, and he's going to be the future if he decides to stay. But I think they felt that, Cook was ready to go back out there and just continue because he's got a lot of leadership, and, the players just love him. And there's a reason why he's got a C on his jersey. So I think they needed him to help rally the troops, and they got it done. So we'll see how he looks next Saturday.
Right. So, a lot of fans would be worried that their backup quarterback is, that they'd rather play an injured starter than a backup.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wish Horn would have gotten a couple passes out there just to show everybody who he was. But, Cook, he showed his toughness. And I think that's why Drinkwitz loves him so much, and he wants him to date his daughter. So
he
said that.
He said that.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing you guys say that. That's a little suspect, but
I know it was kind of weird, but
that's a little, it's a little out there. So I mean,
not the way to do it, Drink. Not the way to do it.
It's really not.
Whoa.
I think that's a big momentum game for Missouri, knowing that.
Yeah.
Once again, the same boat that Florida was in. No one gave you guys a chance. Is Missouri against Kansas State? That's bloating. Kansas State come in, blow out Missouri, but you guys stayed with your plan. You guys didn't waver from it, and you guys was able to go in and get that W. Or actually, it was at home too, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was at home.
Last year,
you guys rushed the field.
Yeah, they rushed the field.
Yeah.
Can we please stop talking about Vanderbilt rushing the field? I think I found somebody that does just as bad as we do.
For real. So,
and I'll just add this, that Missouri going into the fourth quarter trailing by 10. I mean, they could have hung their heads, but they stayed solid and they played and they finished off the game the way you should.
So long.
Yeah,
and they came back, scored 13.
Indy, and reason number 1,422 why I like NCAA more than the NFL, the passion of the fans, man. You hit a 61-yard field goal to beat a ranked non-conference opponent at home. Rush the field.
Yeah.
Go in at home. Have fun.
Yep.
That's awesome.
That's what you go to college for, man. That's
I agree.
That you'll remember for a long time.
As long as the Kansas State players were not harmed, man, more power to you.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Send me a bill later.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, they got the bill $250,000, but hey, I guarantee you they paid it this morning.
I guarantee you. Yeah.
It was already in the mail.
Yeah, it was already in the mail before they got that this morning.
Yeah, that was certified and everything. Yeah. That's it. So, once again, great win for Missouri last night over Kansas State. Way to take it to the Big 12. Let those guys know who's in control of the SEC. See, we're not done. We're not done. The SEC may look like they're weak right now, but the SEC, we're not done. And come championship time, you're going to see a SEC team there. They're going to show up. We're going to show why the SEC is still second to none. I promise you that. So let's get into our last ball game, BYU and Arkansas. Yeah. Ooh-wee.
Those BYU fans travel. And what's funny, I follow Hogville, and there's a couple of BYU guys came on there and said they were looking forward to coming to Fayetteville. They said, yeah, our friends and our wives, and in parentheses they had, and we only have one wife each. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, Sam Pittman has got his work cut out for him. I watched the press conference last night. There were 3 consecutive questions worded differently about the fourth and an inch. why you would line up in a shotgun and hand it off to your running back when you've got a 6'3", 245-pound quarterback, put him under center, he can get an inch.
Yeah.
Three times he was asked. The third time he didn't even answer. Now, the first two questions concerning that, they asked how that affected the momentum of the game because we were up 10 points at the time, how it affected momentum. The third question, which he refused to answer, dealt with why didn't you put him under center? And then the crazy thing, a few minutes later, you have a 4th and 1 from your 35, and you're going to do the same thing. And only a false start penalty prevented you from doing that. I mean, I was excited when Dan Enos came back, but, and I don't know if it's Dan Enos. Pittman put together one of the best offensive lines in Arkansas history, probably one of the best in college history with Skipper and Tretola and Ragnow and Denver Kirkland all on the same time. He's an offensive lineman. It's his 4th year, and this offensive line is pitiful. He was about their performance last night and why BYU could get 4-man rush to the quarterback. And his the footwork of the players. Well, I'm sorry, but it's the 3rd game of the season, and you shouldn't have footwork as a problem. He blamed the footwork too for all the penalties. I mean, God, my gosh, we had 12 or 13 penalties and averaged 10 yards per penalty.
Wow.
And here's another part of this is just when things aren't going your way and are not your way. They line up, BYU lines up for a field goal. They fake it. We snuck it out. The place kicker kept it. We stop them, but they incurred a delay of game penalty. They push it back 5 yards, and they kick the field goal. And it's just stuff like that. When that happens, it's just not going to be your day. But to me, the plays, and we talked about this before the show, 2 plays that hurt us the most. That was the trick play that BYU scored the first touchdown on. I mean, they did it beautifully, and our defense was so aggressive. All the hats were flying to the halfback that caught the backwards pass, which is the fumble unless you play at Auburn, and the guy was wide open. And that just completely swung the momentum. I mean, we were 14-0 in the first 6 minutes of the game, 5 minutes of the game. That fourth and inch that we didn't go under center. That's just boneheaded. Pittman was the vast majority of the fan base were very happy with the future of Razorback football. But after last night, and they may just be so mad they can't see straight, but Pittman's losing some people. And also, when you refuse to answer the press's questions, they're going to start getting on you like a tick on a hound dog. So he better start righting this ship because it's sinking. And that offensive line, which he's probably been a coach for his whole career, is the root cause of it. Now, our defense played great. Our defense, to me, is probably the strong point of the team. And that hasn't been the case the last few years. But our defense is pretty salty. But hats off to BYU. Came in and they beat us.
Yeah, I call me crazy, but I didn't even realize that BYU is part of the Pac-12.
The Big 12, yeah.
Big 12, my fault. I don't know why I didn't know that. I know Notre Dame is independent, but another team came in to be the SEC team, and you guys was at home, man. So I can only imagine how mad the fans was, and once the fans kind of check out, sometimes the players do as well. So I hope that's not the case.
Can I say something that George said yesterday?
What's that?
If you go look at this BYU team in general, do y'all not realize they have 60 transfer portal kids?
Well, yeah, the starting quarterback, started his career at USC? Is that right?
Yep. They have.
USC.
They're pretty much their whole team this year.
Yeah.
Is transfer portal kids.
They're
So
not,
Colorado.
they're not a bad team, but
they're not.
there were times last night that I felt like it was the Southwest Conference officiating crew. There's a play where we caused a fumble, but right there in the picture, not even 5 feet from the tackle where the ball was knocked out, you had a blatant block in the back that wasn't called. But hey, it is what it is. BYU came in and beat us. They made the plays and we didn't.
Yeah, that's true.
If you can make a yard when you need to, you don't deserve to win the game, and that's what it boiled down to last night.
Correct.
So hats off to BYU.
I feel your pain, Mike. You're not the only. You guys were up 14-0.
Yeah.
Lost the lead, ended up losing. I feel your pain. I was up 17-0 in the first quarter, and well, yeah, that.
We know what.
We know what happened, Chris. It's okay. We feel your pain this morning. Not really, though.
But when you put the ball on the ground 6 times, you deserve to lose.
Yeah.
That is true, man. Yep.
And I'm actually seeing evidence of this today. When the fans start checking out, sometimes the players do too.
Yep.
We've got starters on this Vanderbilt football team that are tweeting out some pretty cryptic stuff.
That's not healthy, man.
No,
it's not good.
It's not healthy at all.
And and here's the thing: my dad was a coach. My wife is a coach. I coached for a short time. Now, these are 18 to 22-year-old kids. They're out there giving it their best, no matter what their talent level is.
Don't attack the players.
Yeah, don't attack the players. And
absolutely.
Sometimes it's what goes into a coach's decision to play. But I don't know. But like I said, hey, I got to play around with my kids this morning. I'm looking at my horses right now grazing in my backyard. Hogs lost. Life is good.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. This
There you
is this is sports and everything. But at the end of the day, when real life kicks in, then you look at the bigger picture. So congratulations,
Michael.
Huh? I know that's right. Trust me. I wouldn't trust me. We beat Akron 35-3, and I was still upset.
Yeah.
Yep. So I completely understand, but the bigger scope of everything called life.
We do have some more breaking news.
Okay. What's the breaking? Chris?
The AP poll came out today, the newest one. SEC teams ranked in Week 4 AP college football poll. Number 1, Georgia, with 57 first-place votes. Number 12, LSU. 13, Alabama. 15, Ole Miss. 23, Florida. 23, Tennessee. 25, Florida. I don't understand that one. Others receiving votes. Number 27, Missouri.
Nice.
Number 33, the University of Kentucky Bluegrass State. Coming in at number 39, Auburn. The national writers value Missouri and Kentucky more than they value Auburn.
Hey, thanks for that breaking news, Chris.
Hey.
Appreciate that.
Chris, you're about full of shit.
Hey, Kentucky has a better defense than Auburn, point blank.
Yeah. But hey, we're gonna save that for another day and everything.
Yeah.
But hey, congratulations to Auburn, Kentucky, and Missouri, and Vandy and Arkansas maybe next week, okay? So maybe you guys can get it. So
if we can't put the ball on the ground, we ain't beating Kentucky.
So let's get into quickly. Let's get into our overreactions. If you have an overreaction, I'll start with Chris, and then we'll just move along. If you have an overreaction for the week, okay.
I definitely have an overreaction.
Okay, we're ready.
starting the fourth quarter last night, I had the entire coaching staff at Vanderbilt University fired. Everybody, every worker, every member of the coaching staff, every assistant.
Emotional damage.
Fired. But, that's my overreaction. Today, I'm a little bit more calm. I'm just saying if you're putting the ball on the ground that you need to be benched and let Clark Lee make some changes in the offseason and get some different coaches in here.
Man, we did 3 games in the season, 4 games for you, and you already talking about let's make some changes. Yeah, Missouri. You have any overreactions this week?
I do. All I gotta say is Alabama is not impressive, and I think they're garbage. I don't think they're going to make it in the SEC championship, and I think they're going to go to the Armpit Bowl this year.
Okay.
So that's mine.
That's yours. Mike, you got any overreactions?
Yeah, they put Arkansas at plus 17.5 over LSU. Go bet LSU. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. I love my Hogs, but we're not going to come within 25 points of them.
But see, hey, that's your overreaction, and I respect that. It's the same thing that they said about Florida with Tennessee. It's not going to happen. Same thing they said about Missouri and what's the name?
Here's the thing, Michael. I knew I had messed Arkansas up because the first week my game was South Carolina and North Carolina. North Carolina won. My next week I had another SEC versus non-SEC. The SEC team lost. And I was thinking about that Saturday. It's like, I just screwed the Hogs.
We're not letting you pick no more SEC teams this year, okay? You stop that.
And by the way, Kentucky, that's 0-3 against the spread this year, is favored by 12 over Vanderbilt.
They should be. Kenny, what's your overreaction? Kenny, you are my overreaction, okay? What's yours?
Look, y'all. I ain't even going to say. Look, I'm going to keep everything that I have to say until October 1st.
Okay, I'm going to hold you to that then, okay? I'm going to hold you to that.
But just know, everybody know that I've kept this in for 2 weeks. For 2 weeks that I will hold this in. Just know October 1st, don't nobody get mad.
I heard that.
I respect all of y'all. I want the same respect from October 1st.
Get out of here.
Yeah, got you. And Short Dog, Matt Short, what do you have?
I was going to say my overreaction is Kentucky. They left some points on the field this weekend. They should have put up at least 49 points. They didn't cover the spread. But Ray Davis, that miraculous catch from the quarterback. What can I say? They've got a lot of – yeah, it was nice. It was in ESPN's top 10.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was actually good, too. So I appreciate that. That's funny. So, guys, hey, I really appreciate you guys coming on. I wasn't sure who I was going to do the closing remarks through, so I decided to go ahead and just do it myself. Reflecting on life, as Mike said, he can look out his window and see his horses. He can play with his kids. He's healthy. Everything is going well. Sometimes we don't win the football games that we want to win, and it makes us angry, and it kind of takes us outside of who we are as people. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, this is everything to us, but it is just football. It is just a sport. It is guys out there just throwing around a football. So take life a little bit more serious, or don't take it so serious, especially when it comes to a ball game. Enjoy your team, root for them, cheer for them, be upset, but understand that the biggest game of life is much more important than a football game. And I guess that's easy to say when your team is winning. So you test it when your team doesn't win, and if you truly find out who you are as a person. So thank you guys once again for Chris, Indy, Mike, Ian, and Short Dog, Matt Short. Thank all you guys for coming out, joining us on SECond2Nun. Don't forget to look us up on College Football Dogs Media. Those guys rock. Check them out. Get your coffee from Dogs Bone. And thank you guys for once again. And you guys have a wonderful afternoon. And go SEC. Go Cats.
Go Cats.
Football Dogs. By the fans, for the fans.